Guys, this is Miss Bell. We're going to go over value and shading. Holding your pencil correctly is essential to having beautiful drawings. Please take note of the proper and improper ways of holding your pencil. Make sure you practice.
Hi guys, this is Miss Bell. I'm going to go over using your pencil properly. First of all, you need to make sure that your pencil is adequately sharp. Having a dull pencil sometimes will cause you problems, so make sure you've got a nice tip on your pencil. Alright, so the proper hold for your pencil is, if you're up close, this is for writing. You get a good pressure, you have very good control of the tip of the pencil. When you're shading, however, you want to pull your fingers farther away from the tip, okay? And that's so that you can control the pressure a little bit better. You can still see that first little mark I put down. When you write, you've got your fingers pressed down, they're very tense, you see the muscles tensioned there. Also, when you do that, you can't really erase well. It always leaves some sort of mark behind. So you want to be very careful about using too much pressure. Alright? So when we're using proper pressure, you don't want dents in your paper. If you're doing the writing, it will come out shiny, almost reflective. Okay? And like I said, with the erasing, it can cause you problems as well. So make sure you're very careful with that. When you're shading with your pencil, you are going to need to make small circles. Bring your pencil up, over, around, up, over, around, so that you get a nice blend with your pencil. And there we go. There's your mini tutorial on proper use of your pencil.
When we're making our value scale, darkness or lightness of a color matters. It helps us to see depth in an object, and it makes them look three-dimensional. When you're creating a value scale, you can have up to 9 different values.
Hi guys, this is Miss Bell. We're going to go over our value scale. This is a shortened, condensed version of the value scale. Here I will start with light, and my 2 in the middle will be medium, and the 1 on the end will be the darkest. So when I lay down the graphite, remember, hold your pencil properly. Even for the lightest one, there is some graphite in the space. It is not just paper. So you want to be very mindful of that. Be very deliberate with your pencil strokes. Keep in mind too, where you start, sometimes we'll leave that little darker mark. So make sure you're ready to blend that in as best you can so that your value scale looks fantastic. Neatness always counts. And oftentimes when you're starting out with this process, you want to practice off to the side your pencil strokes just to make sure that you've got some rhythm to what you're doing. That will most definitely help, whether you're listening to some great music or it's just peaceful in your home, however you choose to do that. Here, for the second layer, I'm going to lay down that graphite again. Remember, we layer to get darker color. So you don't rub your paper or scrub it or use the tip. Make sure you're holding your pencil far away from the tip, whether it's here in the middle or further the eraser end. You do not want to hold it close to the point. You will be using too much pressure. So I'm not going to lay down a lot of graphite because I may need to come back and add more. So here's my next one. Remember, when we're also doing this from the video of how to hold your pencil properly, laying down my graphite in a blending motion, I'm making small circles where my pencil is tapping. You can hear that little tap. And that way I know that I am moving my pencil properly along my paper. Sometimes when people rub, they tend to do what you did when you were kids and you rub the tip and you rub it in. but sometimes that is too much pressure. You really have to be able to control your pencil, control the material that you're working with. So, and lots of people hold their pencils lots of different ways. So find ways that are comfortable for you. I'm holding mine like this currently. Some people hold theirs, you know, kind of on the side. It just depends on what's comfortable for you. And I've switched mine around several times over through the years, but it's whatever is comfortable for your fingers. So here it's starting to look slightly different. All right, gonna lay down that last one. All right. I'm a little bit messy and outside the lines. However, keep in mind you can always go back in and erase that so that it's neat, as long as you hadn't added too much graphite to those edges. So I think I'm going to go in and erase early, just to make sure there isn't too much laid down that I can't go back and repair. And I feel like I'm kind of done. There are real specific tools for erasing, and little brushes too that you can get that help swoosh things away so you don't smear your graphite. So I feel like I need to lay down at least one more layer here. Get on that little edge right there. And here we go. I have a 4-toned gradient value scale.
When you're drawing your own value scale for your assignment, you should have 4 different values on your scale. Use the shading techniques from the earlier video. And to create a darker value, remember, layer your graphite. Do not just press harder. When you look closely to the left, there's a correct way where you're shading up close together and filling up any white gaps for a smooth blend. The incorrect way is not filling in the white spaces, and the lines will show up in your blend. That is not what you want when you're doing a nice value scale. There are several different shading types. There's hatching and blending, stippling, also known as pointillism, squiggles, cross-hatching, and contour shading.
Hi guys, this is Miss Bell. We're going to go over our different shading types. The first one we need to be concerned with is blending. Remember, holding your pencil with the proper distance from the tip is essential to getting a very good blend. And that pencil going in that small circle as it hits the paper will also be very helpful. So when I start out, I lay down a base of shading, filling it in. If I get outside the lines a little bit, it's okay. If I want it to be darker along one side, remember, you just lay down more graphite. You do not want to press harder with your pencil. It leaves that shine on the paper. It's a telltale sign of improper use of your pencil while shading. You also don't want to see a distinct line between going from darks to lights. So make sure you're blending those together. Blending is very, very important. All right, I'm going to erase the edge there because neatness counts. All right, so I'm going to go from there to hatching. And when I'm hatching here, I can go up and down or I can go side to side, but choose one direction. Okay? All right, so I'm going to kind of go up and down. Hatching, you kind of want to see those lines. Maybe a little bit of space left in between, just a little bit. Not quite like blending. It's a little bit more of the tip. But as with blending, you do not want to use a lot of pressure. And again, once you go outside those lines, you need to clean that up. just a little bit. All right, we're going to jump from hatching to cross hatching, which is two directions, two or more directions. So I can go up and down and left to right, doesn't matter. Again, we're going to use more of the tip of the pencil. And when you want to get that darker shade, you just make sure you lay down more graphite. You have to be very careful though when you're cross hatching and hatching and using different techniques other than blending, that you are careful not to lose the integrity of the particular shading type itself. So there we are with hatching. All right, next up, we're going to look at squiggles. Squiggles, you want to make sure that you do not use repetition. So here, I'm not going to use the figure 8 over and over and over. You'll see it in everything. So I think of numbers, I think of letters, I think of cursive. And I use the tip of my pencil, although I'm not pressing hard. I am still using the very tip of my pencil while I'm doing this. Okay, there we go. And wherever you want it to be darker, not necessarily using more pressure, but using more squiggles. That is correct if you said that while I said it. Very good attention to detail. Alright, so there's our squiggles. Stippling. For stippling, I'm going to use a marker. It goes a little bit faster that way. If you're doing it with a pencil, it takes a little while longer. So stippling you want to do, and it is using the tip of your device, of your medium, whether it's ink or pencil or paint. The farther away you get from the place that you want to be the darkest, the fewer dots you use. So when I start out with stippling, I like to lay down a base layer of dots and start filling in where I want it to be darker with more dots. These are not marks, they are dots. So think of a chicken pecking, peck, 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 over and over and over and over and over. And that is what stippling looks like. Sometimes you will see it called pointillism as well when you get into paintings, as well as pixelation if you get into digital art. So there we go. All right. And when we look at contour, the reason I drew a circle is because contour shading goes along with the shape, the direction the shape is takes. So you follow along with that object itself. Okay? All right, so I'm going to use more of the tip of my pencil with it, but I'm still very lightly laying down my graphite on the paper. Also, when I do this, I think about where my light will fall. Where will the light fall on this? So for now, we're going to come from this direction. So I'm going to need to leave a section of this lighter than others so that it looks three-dimensional. I like to use tiny, barely seen dots to help me understand that this section right here needs to have the lightest graphite possible laid down. I also like to do dots on my little sides over here to know that here to here should be a medium, and that's going to curve all the way around and under to this side. So that is where from here to here and here to here needs to be a medium type of shading. So I'm going to follow along. And when my piece gets up to this point, it needs to be like a medium shade. So I'm still following it all around. Notice I am not continuously going in a circle spiral. That is not what we do when we're doing this. You still pick up your pencil and move it around. You're still using your shading techniques, proper use of your pencil. And here you can notice that it's darker along the outside edge where the object is farthest away from the light. It's not getting a lot of light on that side. And in this middle section here, I'm creating the section that has a medium gradient of color, medium value. You can think about that when you're making your value scales. Now here in this middle part, I am still going to lay down some of the graphite, but it's going to be extremely faint. Extremely faint. Oftentimes it's not without completely, it's just very, very light. Even if I go over with my eraser a tiny bit, it gives it just a little bit of a buffer. All right, so those are our various shading types.
Taking a deeper look at our shading types, blending is the most commonly used form of shading. It's done using very deliberate lines. Some artists use a blending stump, or sometimes a Q-tip, to help with making color differences seem to disappear. With hatching, it's a commonly used form of shading. It can be done very close together to look uniform and solid, where the lines that created the shading do not show. To your right, you see a correct and incorrect way for shading. Have you seen these techniques before? On Fly Guy, you see the squiggle lines in the eyes, in the body, and the wings. He's very fun, and I love how the artist used layering to give depth. Both the squiggles have color, and the background has a slight watercolor look to it. When we look here at stippling, Seurat was a master with this pointillism technique. If you look at the top on the left, that tree, you can really see those little stipples of color there that almost make it look fuzzy to the eye. Here, when we think about where the wild things are, cross-hatching is clearly seen all along the background and even in the leaves. You can see hatching as well, both on the character's suit and the grass. Here we see contour in the pumpkin. The direction that the lines take are clearly following along with the contour of the pumpkins being round. Thanks for watching.